technology in the sense that, it's more or less like a collaboration between information technology, electrical and electronics technology, engineering. So those are basically what ICT is about. It has to do with putting everything together. For instance, the laptop that you see, or the television, let me use that, the television that you see, the television was built by electrical engineers. But how the television, in terms of whether the television is a smart TV, how the remote communicates with the TV, how the Bluetooth and the sensor of the remote works together. So there's a particular program that is working on that, which was developed by software developers, and software engineers, and IT person. So when you see a mobile device is developed by electrical,
political, ICT, and economic power, ICT.
So I was still going into that economic ICT.
Okay.
I haven't finished that.
Okay.
So when you look at the economic ICT, you realize that Nigeria is actually doing well.
Economic ICT.
Economic ICT.
How?
So in the context of Nigeria, I define ICT in two phases.
Okay.
Two phases. One is the political ICT, and this second one.
You said politically we are not doing too well there.
We're not doing too well.
As far impact of government, intervention of government, but now the economic power.
Part,
so we are doing well. How are we doing well?
Let me give you an example.
Please.
Let's look at the banks. Let's look at the banks as an example. If you look at the way the banks the way they have actually utilized or adopt information technology, ICT in general, you'll be amazed. Let me give you an example. Let's look at the mobile app that we're using. And that's not the only thing. I'm just giving you an example.
An example.
Even in the United States, when you transfer money between United States banks, if you don't transfer between the same bank, you will not get that money immediately. You will not get it even on that day. You have at least 24 hours before you can receive the money. I'm not talking about the other applications. I'm talking about the bank
applications.
Bank application. In the whole of Africa, Nigeria is the only country or countries where Nigerian banks that originate from Nigeria, countries where those banks are. But I'm going to say in the whole of Africa, Nigeria,
let's say a Nigerian bank in London, a Nigerian bank in South Africa.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, but in the whole of Africa, Nigeria is the only country where I transfer money to you, irrespective of the bank that you are using, you get it immediately. The government of the country, when we go into the political economy now, political ICT now, the government of the country is struggling to enumerate us as people. So as I am now, if I flew out of this country, the country don't know whether I've come in or I've gone
out.
So if I come back again, I'm going to give you an example. Every time I come back into the country, they ask for my home address, for my phone
number.
Every time. And they input it on the computer.
And they ask you the next time.
And the next time they will ask me. So I don't like to tell them that, but you asked me this thing last month when I was here. Because more or less I come to Nigeria almost every month. Almost on a monthly basis. And every time that I come in, they ask me for the same information that I've given them, that I've been giving them.
So there's no database.
So there is definitely no database. They don't know.
Somebody said to me, Dr. Akonde, the owner of this American university, said to me that we have various databases that do not speak to one another. That do not speak to one another. That do not relate with one another.
That is where I'm going. So you look at, we have what you call fragmented database.
Where
there's proliferation. There's a proliferation of
database.
So we have BVN. We have
the
NIMSI.
Yes, that was different.
The NIN.
We have the one with INEC.
We have the database with INEC. We have data with Federal Road Safety of Nigeria. We have data.
And so, all these do not see one another. Exactly, they do not relate.
Exactly. So if I commit a crime in the country, if they say they kill somebody somewhere in the country, or if I go to report in at the police station and say my house was invaded by the thieves, the police will say, yes, we come in, they are doing investigation, but what investigation are they doing? When they do mapping, there's something they call mapping when you are doing investigation. When they do mapping, they cannot detect who actually comes to drop in that particular house. But if you come to a country like South Africa, that they can detect via just fingerprint. So they will scan the whole of that particular, everything in that house. And as a result of that scan, there are tools that they use to perform the scan.
Fingerprints.
So when they scan, they will be able to say, okay, this person has touched this place. So they will be able to say this person has touched this place,
and then try to match.
This person has touched this place. Okay, and then they will go into the database. There are a lot of fingerprints in the database. We also have the same thing. I remember 14 years after I finished university was when I came back to Nigeria to serve. And when I went to serve, I then realized that the government, the NYSC, is actually using fingerprints to perform access. Biometric. They are using biometric to perform attendance register. What happened? Why can't the government latch from that? Recently, the government says everybody should go and unemployed people should go and register at the local government. But does the government even know the number of people that are employed in the country?
The MD has also statistics. Let's move on because we have so much to talk, and I'm always shy. I'm always afraid of time here. I want you to benchmark ICT development. Notice very well ICT development and deployment in Nigeria and South Africa. You have done a bit of that, but I want you to compare and contrast again. Where is South Africa in the digital world and ICT? Where is Nigeria, and who is chasing who?
So when we in terms of those two countries, I would say without running down the country, and I'm being frantic here.
I know you're a patriotic Nigerian, very patriotic
exactly,
Nigerian.
but I'm being frantic here. I would say Nigeria is actually leading. I mean, is chasing South Africa.
Okay.
So what South Africa has actually implemented in terms of ICT, it will take a couple of years. So
for Nigeria to get to
that level. But you see, it might not necessarily be what we should be looking at. And I think we shouldn't put the blames at the door of the government alone. What are our researchers doing in the country? I'm talking about the ICT researchers, the electrical engineers, the computer scientists. So what exactly are they doing? If I tell you that Pascal is a programming language.
Pascal, that's what they taught us in LAUTECH.
Exactly. It's still being taught up until now. The dynamics of ICT education in Nigeria has not totally changed. And the foundation has not totally changed. And you then realize that somebody finished from Nigerian university wants to go and work in any of the banks in Nigeria. But any of the tools, no one tool that they are using in that particular bank is being taught in the universities. This explains the reason some of these banks will then go and hire experts from China, experts from India, experts from South Korea to develop their core system, pay huge amount of money, and then hire graduates from Nigerian university to be maintaining the system.
Can't we set those systems up?
Exactly.
Don't we have the expertise?
So this is where you now see the marriage between the political ICT and the economic ICT that are not working. The marriage is a marriage that they are not working together, because there's nothing that stops the government from implementing a policy like they do in South Africa, that as a bank, as a financial institution, none of your core system should be developed outside the country.
Indigenization policy.
Exactly. So if the government should have that kind of policy, and any banks that go or that goes against that policy will be heavily fined, that would then assist the banks to then pump the money into the university
for research.
Because
the end product is what they are going to buy.
Is what they need.
Like a bank will say, oh, LAUTECH, just develop us what we need. We'll fund your research, we'll fund your R&D, and then you can continue and we can get it done.
That is actually, and you also need to take into consideration that a better society, any better society that you see that they are developed, look at the kind or the caliber of universities, or let me not say universities, because in Nigeria we don't only have universities, we have university, polytechnics, college of education, technical universities, and all those. So I'm just going to say, look at the higher institutions that they have in those
the tertiary institutions.
The tertiary institution that they have in those countries.
You feel it's a reflection. The quality of the tertiary education
exactly
is the quality of what goes out into the society.
So, and this also boils down to the policy of the government that is not speaking to the education. So
the policy of government not speaking to the education. No resonating.
It's not resonating with the education. So the government is not putting so much in education. And like I said, I'm not going to blame the government alone. So also you then realize that the academics are also not putting too much on what. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do to get what you need to get.
You have to do what you have to do to get what you have to get.
Because it's important. You can't. And please note, I'm not putting blames on everybody. I'm analyzing the situation.
Yeah, you're just being frank here.
Exactly. You see academics that are saying, or institutions that are saying, government is not funding them. What exactly are you also bringing to the table for government to fund you? Let me give you an example of what works in South Africa, especially when it comes to the Nigeria. ICT. Not only ICT. I'm talking about education generally now. So government don't pay salaries of lecturers in South African universities. University pays the salary. Where university get the money is none of government's business. I'm not sure if you understand what I'm saying.
I do.
Where university get the money is none of government's business. Government pay you based on how you perform. And I'm saying this authoritatively. So when you write a research paper, a conference paper that a university writes will attract 150,000 rand from the government. One conference paper. If you write a
that's
journal,
what you pay for.
That's what the government pay for.
Results.
So if you write a journal article,
that's published.
Yeah, a journal article that is published, you graduate a PhD student, or you write a book chapter. Those three are in the same category. You get 300,000 rand. So as a result, that money goes to the university. University then want to incentivize you to perform.
To do more.
They will say, okay, when you write this, we'll give you this. This money we're not going to give you cash. We'll put it into what you call your research account. You can then use the money to do research. If you want to bring in
more results.
If you want to bring in students that you are going to pay to do research as master students or PhD
to work for you,
you can use part of that money. If your student wants to go to conference, you can use part of that money. If you want to go to conference, you can use part of that money. If you want to do research, you can use part of that money. You see, so for every undergraduate student that you graduate, we also give you money.
The university is telling the lecturer that now?
No. The government is telling the university.
Okay.
Yeah. So they don't pay salaries of lecturer. They give the university grants based on their performance.
So they pay for results.
As a result, because the university has now grown to the extent that they are doing research, they are getting results. Most of the private organizations, the banks, the insurance companies, the manufacturing company, the automobile company, the people in the oil and industry, the software development company, they are now collaborating with university, giving them grants, giving them money, and
more like a business now.
Exactly. And the university now also have results that they have deployed outside that are also generating money. So the university is generating their IGR that are permanently there.
Dr. Glenn, are you suggesting our education system is warped?
I'm not going to say it's warped, but it needs to be refurbished.
How?
It needs to be.
You are the primary education, secondary education in Nigeria. I know you went to Lautech. I know for your first degree. And then how can you say that system that produced you needs to be refurbished? What do we need to refurbish about it?
So, as I said, the system that produced me gave me what I needed to be independent. It's a very good system. We're not disputing the fact. But I am saying that that particular system that produced me need to move with the trends of time.
Needs to move.
With the trends.
Should not get stuck on one position.
Exactly.
So that system is stuck?
The system is stopped.
Like how many years stuck? Away. How many years away? 10, 20, 30?
Let's say maybe about 50 to 60.
50 or 60 years.
I'm telling you.
Look, sincerely, are you suggesting that we need to move as fast as 50 years before we can get to the level of UK, US, Canada, South Africa?
So
educationally,
we can set the journey of 50 years just in 5 days or 50 days if the government is willing. If there's going to be a collaborative effort between the government and